Hello, I'm Mrs. Houtman, the Japanese teacher at Avon Middle School North and Avon Middle School South. Seventh graders, you have a wonderful opportunity to sign up for an 8th grade world language class. I hope you will consider choosing Japanese. Japan is an important trading partner of the United States, and it's a country with a long history and a fascinating culture. In Japanese class, we do listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Let's take a look.
何年何月何日ですか？
今日は2020年12月8日です。
はい。はい。何曜日ですか？
火曜日です。
Good job.
欲しかったです。California wants it. Okay.
Well, what is it? Yes. Supermarket.
Somehow.
I already have this one. Wrestler.
Some of the topics we will be working with are introducing yourself, things you like and things you dislike, things you do, things you want to do, things you'll do in the future, and things you've done in the past. We will describe things with adjectives. We will learn to tell time, be able to deal with numbers up into the tens of thousands, and talk about the weather. We'll learn how to order in a restaurant. And we'll learn how to read and write the phonetic Japanese characters called hiragana and katakana. Later, we'll hear from some of my students. Remember the terms hiragana and katakana because they will say them. And characters. Characters, hiragana and katakana, are the symbols that are used in the Japanese writing system. And we'll learn some of the non-phonetic characters called kanji. And of course, we will learn about Japanese culture. The homework is somewhat light in Japanese class. However, that does not mean we don't have any. Your two most important jobs in Japanese class are to pay attention and to ask questions and let me know when there's something you don't understand. I try to get students up and moving for a time most days to refresh their brains. Here's a game we play with numbers. I'd like to conclude this video with some comments about the class from my students. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me on Parent Square or by my email or by phone. Thank you very much for listening to my Japanese pitch.
Okay, so what do you think is fun that we do in class?
We talk a lot about our personal life and we incorporate Japanese into it. That's
Michael-san, what do you think is fun that we do in Japanese class?
Well, what I really like to do is the activities and games that we like to play, and I also like the language itself, like learning the hiragana and katakana. It is like diverse. It is not like the English alphabet.
Mike-san, what do we do in class that you think is fun?
I think it's fun how we're not just sitting there and learning, we're doing different activities and games to actually put it in your mind. And the different clues, they're relatable.
Son, what is fun that we do in Japanese class?
Well, out of everything, there's a lot of open-ended conversations, and those are real fun.
Because, you know, we do different games that incorporate not only making friends, but also learning in it too. And also when we also learn in general, we always incorporate fun things into it. Like, for example, when we're learning new characters or new words, we always kind of, you know, make something relatable to it. And so it's easier to kind of relate to it, and also makes it easier.
All right, Becca-san, what do we do in Japanese class that seems fun?
When we get to draw pictures to like represent different things that we say in Japanese.
Andy-san, what would you say is fun that we do in class?
It's kind of hard to choose when everything is fun, so I'm gonna just leave it there.
Mike-san, do you like learning about the Japanese writing system and how to read and write the symbols which are called characters?
I really do love learning about it. Like at first it was tricky, but once you get the hang of it and you start studying or using more clues or actually being involved in activities we do, it gets more ingrained in your brain and it's more fun to use the different characters.
And how I remember them. Like some of them are harder, the other ones, some of them are easier. It just depends on what they mean and how they look like.
Okay, have you been successful so far learning the characters?
Yes, I have.
All right, well that's good then. So, characters, do you enjoy learning the characters?
Yeah, they're super pretty, and it's really cool to be able to say I know what that means, like in public and stuff.
Did you find it difficult to learn them?
No, I was really worried about it, but with the clues we have in class, it's really easy to memorize them.
Thank you, Simone. Cole-san, we learned about the Japanese characters. Do you find that you enjoy learning the characters?
I did enjoy learning them. They were kind of hard for me at first, but it was super easy after I started paying attention to the clues.
Coffee-san, we called characters. Did you find that you enjoyed doing that?
I did. I like, we always come up with silly clues and stuff so we can remember them. And also learning to draw them is really cool because you'll find that you get really proud of yourself when you learn how to draw them because it's really not that hard.
Okay, Rania-san, do you have any advice for the incoming 7th graders?
Like to ask questions if you're confused. Definitely just don't sit there and be afraid to ask because there's no shame in that. And
Mike-san, do you have any advice for the incoming 7th graders?
I say that you just need to pay attention to what they're actually learning. I'm teaching you because it's just vital. Because once you miss something, it's not going to correlate with the other things that you're learning. So I say really pay attention. It's not going to be boring. If you're doing activities, it's going to be fun, interesting, and it might be maybe confusing at first, but I promise you, once you go on with it, it's going to be a lot more understanding, and you're going to be wanting to use it more. It's going to be fun. That's all I got to say, man. You got to focus, stay prepared, and just do your best. That's all I got to say.
Okay. Cole-san, do you have any advice for the incoming 7th graders?
My advice I'd give to them is pay attention. It is very important that you pay attention because if you don't, you'll miss a lot of what she says.
Okay. So what advice do you have for the incoming 7th graders?
I'd say that if you don't get it at first, don't worry. You'll eventually learn it and you'll learn to love it, and it's very fun.